Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Sarcasm Speaks. We are Jared and Bob. Let me see. What do I got here? Oh, this is one I should have had it pulled up, but of course I don't. Um, it's kind of an interesting one. I was reading about it the other day. They think they may have a cure for type 1 diabetes. Let's see how quickly I can find it, because I'm probably not going to be able to. So yeah, I can't find it really quickly, but the gist of it was it's Sana Biotechnology, Sana, I don't know how to pronounce it. Um, but they developed a therapy that may be able to cure type 1 diabetes. So for anyone out there that doesn't know, type 1 it used to be called juvenile diabetes, I think, because that's the one that is genetic. Type 1 you have no control over. It's the one where your body just literally stops producing insulin. So you can't regulate your blood sugar. Um, Type 2 diabetes is diet related. It's that used to be called adult onset diabetes, is type 2 because wouldn't you know, it used to just pop up in people as they got older and started eating like shit. Type 2 typically, like I said, is diet related. And if they catch it early enough, um, it can be reversed, right? It can be treated and reversed. A lot of times, you can just take like an oral medicine and change your diet a little bit and you're good to go. Type 1 diabetes, not so much. You're fucked, right? Like there's no helping it. You have to get exogenous insulin, whether through shots or automatic pump or whatever the things are today that they have for that technology. Um, I'm trying to see if I can have ChatGPT give me the quick rundown on this. Santa Biotechnology cure for type 2
What are you
diabetes.
looking for? Because I pulled up something. I think it's like their own press release.
Yeah, just kind of like what it is, how it works.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not smart enough to probably explain that part.
Um, oh, did I say type 1? I typed in type 2 in ChatGPT and they were like, we have no
Yeah, it doesn't
evidence
work.
that Santa is working on type 2. It's type 1. It is type 1. Sorry, to be clear. Type 1 diabetes is the one that they think they found a cure for, potentially. Again, that previously called juvenile diabetes, the one that you have no control over, which is kind of a big deal, right? Because, like I said, type 2 diabetes, have at least somewhat level of a control with
I gotta be
lifestyle
honest.
changes.
I gotta be honest. I don't know what the fuck how this shit works. Unless you understand what islets are.
Yeah, islet cells.
Islet cell therapy.
Yeah.
But basically, the thing that I'm looking at said 6 months later, all good.
Yeah.
Safe, effective, all that shit.
And so was that in mice first?
Um, don't know if it says. No, this has got to be humans. Honestly, doesn't say,
Okay.
which isn't overly. That's not overly confidence
Oh yeah,
inspiring.
it was a human trial, right? So
Yeah,
that
this
was the
looks like
first thing.
humans.
The human trial finished this year.
Yeah, so
Um,
the big thing was so 6 months later, there was no immune response to the treatment because obviously, if there's an immune response, then it's not going to work.
right, right.
Um, because they obviously they did it at 4 weeks, they did it at 12 weeks, 6 months, 25, 20, 26, 26 weeks, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. So yeah, I guess the big takeaway there is whatever this treatment is, 6 months later, the body did not fight it off.
Yeah, and it's the I think the cliff notes of it is it's mainly stem cells. It's like a stem cell therapy that they inject into the body. I don't know if they inject it directly into the pancreas or how it works there, but it is a stem cell treatment. So, um kind of cool, right? Interesting stuff. I mean, the way it seems here, again, it's only been 6 months since the conclusion of the study. Um, but it's a potentially a one-time cure for a lifelong treatment. So, I mean, from a business standpoint, may not be the most lucrative thing in the world, right? Because you would just get the treatment once and then be done. So, like that one treatment might cost like $1 million, um, versus, the current treatment of insulin, which I don't know how much insulin costs. I know it's not cheap, but say it's like $500 a month, right? Over literally the rest of your life. Um, I don't know, but
And so
I'm
I'm
not
sure the
super
pricing is going to
concerned.
come out to almost be in that exact kind of figure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not super concerned about the business aspect of it. I'm more like really kind of focused on like they might actually cure this fucking thing, which is kind of cool. Um,
But if they cure it and no one can actually access it, is it a cure?
that's true. That is very true.
I don't know. I'd like to be like less cynical that this is like a good thing, but I also just imagine that the pharmaceutical companies are just gonna fuck this up somehow.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, probably. Like if we're being totally honest, then yeah, that's probably the most likely scenario is somehow they fuck it up.
It's funny, I met a dude the other day. He's in risk management for a pharmaceutical company, and I go, "What risk? What risk is there?"
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean
Uh,
I'm being an ass, but I'm like
well, I
obviously
mean,
any
obviously
business.
there's some
Yeah.
risk associated to certain trials and things like that, but
No, no, no. I think he's like financial guy. So it's like
okay.
so like my thing is it's like everyone needs pharmaceuticals all the time and the pharmaceutical companies make so much fucking money. So again, like what are we managing?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
obviously there are like risk management is risk to their profits and revenues and there's
Right.
always going to be something. But yeah, I was like at first I go, how do you get that gig? So I got to imagine it's probably a pretty stress-free operation. People are sick all the time and people always need fucking
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some weird things that we don't know, but yeah. So the other thing too, to stay on like the health focus here that I saw the other day was a new poll that finds that US adults reported the lowest rates of alcohol consumption in this survey's 90-year history. So this is the Gallup poll that's pretty popular, right? You usually hear, oh, the Gallup poll says this. Gallup is just the company. So they've existed for 90 years, right? They've been polling people, and now they're tracking that in the 90-year history, the current consumption level of adults of alcohol in the country is at its lowest ever, right? So Gallup has tracked Americans' drinking habits since 1939, providing nearly a century of data on alcohol consumption patterns. In recent decades, at least 60% of Americans reported drinking alcoholic beverages, with rates between 68 and 71% during the peak years of 1974 to 1981, also known as the golden years. um, the previous record low of 55% occurred in 1958. So on Wednesday, then this was last week. So last week, data from a national survey showed that only 54% of US adults reported consuming alcohol. The record low drinking rate coincided with a dramatic shift in health perceptions, as 53% of Americans now believe moderate drinking harmed their health, up from just 28% in 2018. That's a huge swing in less than 10 years. More than half of people think that, alcohol ruins your health versus like a quarter of people. It's almost a 100% increase from 28% to 53. Um, Young adults led this change, with about two-thirds of those aged 18 to 34 viewing moderate alcohol consumption as unhealthy, compared to roughly half of adults aged 55 and older. So the younger generation is leading the charge. The medical community has changed its stance on moderate drinking after discovering flaws in their earlier studies. This is, when they used to say, drinking 1 to 2 glasses of wine a day, I think they said was good for your health for a while. Um, Medical opinions have reversed over the last 10 to 20 years, with previous conceptions oh, here it is, like a single glass of red wine improving one's lifespan, now being dismissed. Recent studies, including those by scientists at Toronto Metropolitan University, have concluded that any amount of alcohol can increase the risk of cancer, depression, and anxiety. Even Americans who continue to drink reported consuming less alcohol, right? So not only is there a record number of people that don't drink at all, the people that do still drink report that they drink less, with only 24% of drinkers saying they consumed alcohol in the last 24 hours, another record low. The average number of drinks consumed over 7 days dropped to 2.8, down from 3.8 last year, the lowest figure Gallup has recorded since 1996. Um, while marijuana use, because this is another thing too, some people are like, oh, no one drinks anymore. They just smoke weed or eat gummies or whatever. But marijuana use increased, although it's increased over the past decade as far as, more states have legalized it. Gallup found that it remained fairly steady over the last 4 years and did not believe to be driving the decline in alcohol consumption. So again, that's the big thing, right? It's like, oh, everyone just smokes weed now. It's like, well, for the last 4 years, the amount of people that consume marijuana has maintained, right? Not increased, not decreased, but alcohol has decreased. So I thought that was interesting. Um, and I have thoughts on that. And then I'll get your thoughts too. So I think this is a natural situation of the times. So I think the issue is with the younger generation, right? The kids that are sub 30, let's say. So from 20, let's call it 21 to 30, right? We'll go legal drinking age. Or you know what? Fuck it. Let's include 18. So from 18 to 30, right? Because there's plenty of people that drink before they turn 21. Although, according to this, probably less today. Um, so from 18 to 30, this current generation, I don't think they drink like at all, right? Well, clearly they don't by the statistical data that we collected through this poll. Um, but my theory is that the downturn is mainly driven through them, right? Because if you take our generation, which I think millennials go from 82 to 96, right? So that would be people from 30. Let's fudge the generation a little bit because let's call it 30 to 45, right? Is our generation. When we were younger, when we were of our prime drinking years, right? Let's call it 18 to 25. We drank a shit ton. And there actually is statistical data that backs that up. The millennial generation, when they were in their prime drinking years, again from 18 to 21, consumed more alcohol than any generation prior. So we did all the damage 10 years ago, right? 10 plus years ago, depending on where you fall in our generation. But when we were in our prime drinking years, right? Well, what happens when you get older? Everyone knows this. Hangovers get a little bit worse. Your alcohol tolerance goes a little bit down. You also get other responsibilities like jobs and wives and husbands and kids and homes and bills to pay, and you can't really go out and get shit faced on a Wednesday night just because you feel like it, right? Because you got to get up and go to work the next day. You got to get the kids up to go to school. Like as you get older, you typically drink less because your responsibilities increase and you can tolerate it less too, right? So that's the one thing to keep in mind here because everyone is saying alcohol consumption is down and they try to point to like everyone, right? And it's like, well, that's not true because the millennials drank more than anybody. There's just a statistical fact, right? The millennials consumed more alcohol in their prime drinking years than any other generation prior. But now we're old, right? We're all in our 30s and 40s, and we're all married with kids and jobs. And you know what I mean? What else do you know about being in your 30s and 40s? Is that's typically the time where you start to ascend, in business, right? You go from the grunt to middle management to maybe upper middle management, right? Typically by the time you're in your 40s and 50s, that's when you hit, peak. They say like peak career, right? For most people is like late 40s, early 50s. Um, so again, once you we're approaching that. Like it or not, I know we're only like 33 and 35, but our generation is kind of approaching that aspect of our lives, really. So I think that has a lot to play with it too. And then obviously the old people, right? If quote unquote old people, if you want to go 45 plus, they don't drink as much anymore either because they're old, right? And especially the 45 to 50 crowd, right? They're in their peak career phase, right? Like this is for some of them, it's the highest positions they'll ever hold, right? In their career, whatever it might be, before you start getting into your late 50s and 60s and looking at retirement. So yeah, I mean, I don't think this is anything like groundbreaking other than it says more about the younger generation, like the current people in their prime drinking years, right? This says more about them than it does about any other time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like I forget how it was worded in the article. It doesn't really matter, but everything that you said though should be consistent through time. Like hangovers getting worse, and which I have a thought on that. Hangovers getting worse, getting to different spots in your career. Like that should always be like a relative timetable, like through the years. So like that actually shouldn't have anything to do with the figures. Um, from again on like the average. Um, some people do talk about some people have mentioned the hangovers like pretty good, and it's like, you know, I know sorry, as a guy who's been to Italy once, everyone's almost like, "Oh my God, like isn't it great you go to Italy drinking like there's no hangovers?" And like fucking challenge accepted on the first night. I felt like shit the second day.
Yeah,
So with enough of anything, you can do it.
right.
But I think there probably is some level of truth to the hangovers being worse, thus being a deterrent with all of the options available today. Right? Because if you go, what were the peak years? 74,
Yeah, what did I say, 74 to 81?
something like that. Okay, what were your options? Wine, beer, liquor, like mixed.
Yeah.
That's it. There
And
was no
of
mixed
that,
drinks.
there was like 20 beer brands.
Yeah, and you weren't getting in like I mean, I'm sure everyone was distilling everything. I can I know that
Yeah,
shit was
yeah,
getting distilled in some. Well, that stuff was nasty, um, but that's the thing. It's like that's kind of all there was. And like when we were growing up, there was no 99 bananas. Then there was no UV blue.
right.
Like the second shit started to get more appealing to younger crowds or like casual people, I have to think that the hangovers got worse from it. And a lot of my evidence is from those natter days. That was bad. Now I've
Yeah,
also just drank straight bourbon and been that bad, but there might have
right.
also been some asbestos that fucking got into it.
Yeah,
Whatever, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
But that's another thing is like some of these hangovers, like they've all been like bad from, yes, too much, but like also it's just sometimes the stuff. Trulies and White Claws, like those hangovers are pretty bad.
yeah. Those are pretty brutal.
Um, so yeah, I've heard some people are deterred by that. They just don't want to deal with it anymore. Um, I think whether you like it or not, sobriety being way more accepted these days definitely is
Yeah,
a factor.
yeah. I think that's a thing.
Um, because like think about it, like in 1976, like, oh yeah, hey Bob, I think I'm gonna be sober. It's like, what are you, a fucking pussy? Now it's like, oh my God, good for you. Like,
Yeah,
congratulations on taking care of your health.
yeah.
Um, Again, not right, wrong, or indifferent. And then I heard someone put it this way too, like the younger people, they don't want to drink because everybody's got a Ring camera, everybody's got a Bluetooth camera, everyone's got the trackers on their phone, everyone's got Find My Friend on Snap.
That's a really good point. Yeah, social
Everyone can
media.
find everyone.
Yeah,
And
and
like some
the
of these apps too,
privacy.
it's like if you're driving like fucking crazy, your parents can know.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's actually a really good point, right? You think
So it
about like when we were growing up, when we were partying in the woods all the time, like pick your woods, right? Whether it was
didn't matter
Victory
any of them.
or
They were all the
the
same.
cemetery or the tower, like didn't matter, right? Wherever we went, none of us had like, well, we had cell phones, but like we didn't have iPhones. Then we weren't like videoing everything and like posting it on social media. Like, could you imagine like we're 18, 19 years old partying in the middle of the woods and you post a video on Snapchat Live about, being around a bonfire with a keg, like that's going to get blown up in 30 seconds,
Yep.
right?
Well, and that's this the other piece too is I don't know, is it like Life 360 or I don't know what the fuck it is, but like there are so many ways to track these kids, and I'm like, I mean, it's Black Mirror type shit.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I think that shit's fucking terrifying, but I also don't
Yeah,
have a kid, so I can't sit there and be like, oh yeah, yeah, no, I would just let mine run feral like the rest of like I did.
yeah,
Because then it's like that's so not the norm today that it's almost like you almost like kind of can't because then like someone's going to fucking approach you about it.
exactly.
And your
Yeah,
defense really kind of can't be, it's like, oh, well, that's how it worked when I was a kid.
yeah.
And they're like, yeah, well, it's a problem now, I get. I don't know. So I've heard that, like, again, that goes into it too. And I also think that the younger people, um, and this is like so obviously I'm well aware that like they are so organized in sports and activities and every fucking aspect of their life is scheduled whatever. I don't even know if they like do anything socially. Like a lot of
Yeah,
these kids don't just have like Saturday off to just like, hey, I'm going out,
yeah,
see you tonight.
right.
Like that's a thing of the fucking past.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah, or
obviously
like they have something on Sunday morning, so they don't want to be
right.
hungover.
And then like or like so the in the bias is obviously I'm dealing with athletes. So it's like, yes,
Right,
all of them do have shit, but like most kids play sports.
right.
Um so yeah, it's like that's the other thing, you know, all these kids they have fucking tournament this, 3 games that. Like I don't really think many of them really like have the time to even do what we used to do.
I think the lack of social IQ, if you will, or social interaction, however you want to put it, probably
Well, that's
comes
the thing
into
is, I don't
play a
even think it's
lot.
IQ. It's probably, dude, opportunity is a better word.
Yeah, opportunity probably is the best word, right? Because you think like, because we played sports when we were younger, right? And you think
Yeah,
if you
not like
had,
this though.
regardless, right? But think if you had like a basketball tournament on a Saturday, right? You had to play 2 or 3 games on a Saturday. Like we would still go out on a
We
Saturday
wouldn't have
night.
cared.
we don't care, right? We just go to the cemetery and drink in the
Yeah.
woods, right? And then
Stop and
he's
shop at
fine.
8 a.m. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, who cares? Whatever, figure
Figure
it
it out
out.
then. I'll
But
get my
today,
crackers and my ginger ale and I'll just put it
yeah,
on the
yeah.
counter.
I feel like today they play their sports or whatever. Maybe it's just one game or whatever it is, but then the Saturday night they would rather sit at home and, get on Xbox Live with their friends or
Jose, that's
go to
another
their
thing too,
friend's
is
house
like
and play PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like it's more
sometimes
of
they
a
like
online culture.
they'll FaceTime each other like from their rooms
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like hang out like quote unquote hang out like that. It's like I've heard some of the parents like, why don't you just go over there?
yeah,
What do you
yeah,
mean? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Fucking
yeah,
like you're talking anyway, just go over there.
yeah. Why would you just FaceTime your friend? Why wouldn't you just go to their house and hang out?
That's the thing, they don't think like that.
Yeah, yeah. That's weird. That is weird. So I think that plays into it too, right?
Well, that definitely affects the younger generation.
So
But
I found
I
a
mean, the other thing too is with some of these kids, because it's like I know like a lot of them will kind of speak freely to me, but like some of them are just like, yeah, I just don't drink. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to convince you otherwise, but
yeah,
it's like, yeah, not really my thing. Like, all right.
yeah,
So what do you do?
yeah. What do you do for fun?
And I think seriously, I think that's a big piece of it because like, dude, like I'm telling you with some of these schedules. So it's like, so you tell now I know what we would have done. So I'm not asking you what would we have done. I'm
Right?
asking you how would you potentially look at this differently if you were in high school and tomorrow you have to wake up and go to camp starting at like 8 a.m. That's like 2, 3 hours. You're gonna go and work for like 4 hours, and you got summer league that night, and you're gonna do that 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And now you're in this in 2025. How fucked up are you gonna get every night? Now, I know how fucked
Yeah.
up we would
Now,
have gotten every night because
yeah.
it wouldn't have stopped us one bit. But
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do that now,
yeah,
today, right? But
and
when
then
I
come
was
weekend,
18,
it's like you got to travel because you got a tournament.
yeah. I mean, I used to, when I was a sophomore, so I would have been 16, I think. The stipulation was if you played 2 quarters in varsity football on Friday night, you were ineligible to play on Saturday morning in JV. So my sophomore year, I played a little bit on varsity, but not enough to hit that. So I used to play like a couple snaps here and there and then wake up Saturday and go play the JV games. But after Friday night, when we would inevitably get our ass kicked because we were terrible, we would all go out and drink in the woods, right? Like we would like someone, right? Whether it was Newell or whoever, one of the seniors, or Newell would have been graduated at that time. But, someone would have gone out and we would have just drank our sorrows away after getting our asses kicked. And then I would go home and wake up the next morning and play JV football at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday.
It's also different. I don't know if parents are trying to garner control, but then it's okay, well, let's go play and then let's go out to dinner and then like you get home and it's late and it's like if my mother was like, "Oh, let's go out to dinner on Friday night," I'd be like, "Yeah, not interested."
Yeah, I'm all good.
Like I'm all set.
Yeah,
What are you
yeah.
doing? I don't know, but not that.
Yeah,
It is a little bit different with the younger crowd now,
yeah,
which I don't know. I mean, again, it's like it's one of those things like I don't think drinking like makes you cool or whatever, and it's like it probably creates more problems than it solves. Like it does,
yeah,
but I don't know, man. It just kind of rubs me the wrong way that you don't that like you just kind of don't do learn, adjust, and like decide from there.
yeah.
But I guess that's my thing. You could sub out drinking and you could input anything. Like not,
Fair.
hard drugs, but yeah, like even like dude, even like going like just going to the park, you end up where you end up, and then it's like, you know, never really, but like, sometimes a fight might break out.
Yeah.
And it's like you kind of learn how to deal with some of those like potential real life situations. And I don't know, it doesn't instill a lot of confidence in me that
Yeah.
the way things kind of like go
Yeah.
with kids these days.
So then I found one statistic and then we can wrap this up, but I thought this was pretty good just to kind of prove on the point that I said earlier about millennials. So again, there's research spanning almost 100 years, right, of drinking and alcohol consumption. So I'll start back with the boomer generation, the baby boomers, which I think, God, I don't know, I think it starts in from like 1949 to 62, 63, 64. I don't know. I have no idea what that generation is. Um, but so this is the a statistic for the percentage of binge drinking, right? So that is, I forget what the definition of binge drinking is. I think it's more than three drinks in a sitting or something like that.
Uh, it's low.
Whatever, yeah, whatever
Small
it is,
area.
right? So the binge drinking, right? That's the bar. So baby boomers, when they were in their prime drinking years, right, from call it 21 to 25, 14.7% of their generation participated in what would qualify as binge drinking, right? So that's our parents' generation, really, is the baby boomers, right? Um, I think my mother falls at the very end of the boomer generation because she was born in 63. I think it goes until 64 or 65, something like that. So then you have Gen X, right? The generation right before us. In their prime drinking years, 27% of them reported instances of binge drinking, right? So you went from 14.7, we'll round it up to 15, right? You went from 15% of the baby boomers to 27% of Gen X. When the millennials were in their prime drinking age, between 21 and 25, 37.8%
I mean,
reported instances of
mm,
binge drinking.
and that's the thing. Like, so growing up, it's like binging. Like when they used to do the definition, I would just start laughing.
Yeah.
Like,
So call it
there's no like, because
38%.
that's my thing in my head. There was no other way.
Yeah. 38% of us.
So here's one other thing, just to kind of put a note, like why it's down. When you ride that hard for that long, you just fucking burn out.
You just can't do it.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, like that's it's like just too many miles.
Yep.
Not even like, oh well, I have kids now, I have work now. It's just like, fuck, just can't do it.
I just
I'm
can't do
out.
it anymore. Yeah. 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 So, yeah,
That
there's
being
your,
said, based on that conversation, I kind of just want to walk over to Johnny Kono's and just fucking tie one on. No, I do have to work tomorrow morning, but
yeah.
it's 2:15.
Yeah, maybe I'll have a drink tonight. Who knows?
I could go to Lacono's. We'll see.
All right. So you want to wrap this up?
Yep. Pet peeve. Every time you know what a score bug is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
Yeah, the
bottom of the
score, the
screen.
scoreboard on the TV.
Yeah.
Every time anybody changes anything, for usually for football,
Yeah.
everyone on fucking Twitter goes up in arms, and I'm like, I have never paid that much attention to a score bug, let alone to fucking give a fuck. And like dude, people get so mad, like, what the fuck is this score bug? It's like,
Yeah.
who gives a shit? It's supposed to give you the time and the score. Now, to concede off my point, there's been a couple times where it's not clear, um, where the colors are fucked up or something. Like, there's been times where they haven't been clear and they usually fix it, but I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get maybe these people need to have a drink or two, or three or seven. Like where, like I just don't know how you have the time to have a strong opinion on score bugs. But
Yeah, I don't
it's
know
back
either.
because preseason football's back, so something changed, and people are like, oh, what the fuck, this score bug. Fucking A.
Yeah, people just hate change. Really
I
was it
just
comes
and
down to.
again, it's like also like that's like, oh, score bug, like that's the word everyone likes to use. It's like the same thing with media people. Like they're always like, oh my God, like what a great media person. I'm like, I have no idea who this fucking person is.
Yeah.
Um, that's the other thing. It's like it's a scoreboard. No, it's a score bug. I gotta fix the score bug. It's
Yep.
like, well, you hate every score bug. So score bug talk, two thumbs down.
Yeah. Agreed. Uh, all right. So my final thought, I gotta pull it back up because I had to switch what I was doing. Um, so this is a local thing here, sort of a bummer. I don't know if you have ever heard of Judge Frank Caprio, the Honorable
I have no idea who
Frank
this person
Caprio.
is. I've saw him all
Um,
over Twitter, and I don't have the slightest clue who this human being is.
Yeah, so he was a Rhode Island municipal judge known as the nicest judge in the world. He died at 88 years old after battling pancreatic cancer.
He's so nice. Why
So
haven't I heard of him?
that's probably why you haven't heard of him. Um, so he gained international fame through his TV show, which was Caught in Providence, where viral clips showed his compassionate handling of traffic violations, often reducing fines for struggling defendants. So the show, which reached national syndication in 2018, showcased Caprio's empathy rooted in his working class background as a former fruit peddler and milkman, right? So this guy literally worked his way up from selling fruit and milk to being a judge, right? So after nearly 40 years on the bench, he retired in 2023, and he just died like last week. So um, local guy, right? He was relatively popular through, Instagram, social media, and all that stuff. So I've seen a bunch of his clips over the years. For all intents and purposes, seems like a good guy. So obviously, I didn't know him personally, but
Some would
he
say
worked
the
in
nicest.
Providence. Yeah, some would say the nicest. Um, so yeah, shout out to the Honorable Frank Caprio. So we didn't have him on our list. So that is going to do it for us. So thanks for watching wherever you're at. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button up top. Get us on social media on the bottom of the screen. Support the sponsors in the show notes and us as well. And until next time, good night, everybody.